إن الله ملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن مولانا عليا ولي الله أشهد أن مولانا عليا حجة الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح حي على خير العمل حي على خير العمل الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله لا إله إلا الله صلى الله على سيدنا محمد وآله وسلم
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين حبيب إله العالمين سيدنا ومولانا أبي القاسم محمد اللهم صل على محمد وعلى أهل بيته الأطيبين الأنجبين ولعنة الله على أعدائهم أجمعين أما بعد أوصي نفسي وإياكم بتقوى الله. First of all, I advise myself, then all of you towards taqwa, God consciousness and remembrance of Almighty Allah Azza wa Jal. Last week we talked about lying, and we mentioned a few examples of lying and also the condemnation of Islam of this evil. And there are many aspects still not touched, and inshallah ta'ala next week we'll talk about them. And in today's sermon we'll be focusing on mustathnayatul kidh, exceptions of lying. There are circumstances in which lying is permissible. But before delving into that, let me just explain something which is considered kind of misconception on this topic. In poetry, sometimes they use certain examples or certain level of exaggeration or imagination. Is it permissible? If you remove imagination from poetry, then poetry will not remain poetry. So to some extent, as long as it is not forging something to Allah Azza wa Jal or attributing something to Muhammad and Ali Muhammad alayhi salam, is not considered a hadith from Allah, from Muhammad and Ali Muhammad alayhi salam, these are fine. And similar situation happens when we read, for example, certain books in which they have talked about, for example, which is called personification. So we consider things which are not living. Apparently, from Islamic perspective, everything is living. Allah Azza wa Jal says in Quran, وَإِن مِّن شَيْءٍ إِلَّا يُسَبِّحُ بِحَمْدِهِ. Everything not only is alive, but everything is glorifying Allah. But the concept of life that we have, there are many things which do not fit into that description of life. So we call them non-living things. So in personification, what happens? Non-living things are considered living things, or non-humans are given the character of or characteristics of human, and then an example has been made or a story has been forged to deliver a powerful moral lesson. Is this acceptable? It's called tamthil or tashbih. Is it permissible? Yes, it is permissible. For example, there is a book called Kalila or Damna. If you've read this book, this is originally from Sanskrit, and it is very beautiful and powerful book. Most of the book is based on examples from animals. So animals are talking to one another, like children's story books. Most of these story books are in the form of animals, because children attach them very easily with the animal. That is because of the instilled love of the creation by Almighty Allah Azza wa Jal in our nature. So these stories or these books, are they all lies or considered lies? Allah la'anatullah على القوم الظالمين فنجعل لعنة الله على الكاذبين. No. These books are not considered lies. And these are permissible. And even in Quran, Allah Azza wa Jal has given certain examples. كالتي نقضت غزلها من بعد قوة أنكاثا. And there are many examples Allah Azza wa Jal has given in Quran. And in the ahadith of Ahlul Bayt alayhi salatu wasalam, that is even more vivid. Let me just mention one beautiful example. Muawiyah alayhi al-Hawiyah, he summoned Imam Hassan al-Mujtaba alayhi salatu wasalam in his court. And the court of Muawiyah was full of the most disgusting people on this planet. And they all were ready to attack Imam Hassan al-Mujtaba alayhi salatu wasalam, degrade him, disgrace him. So when Imam Hassan al-Mujtaba alayhi salatu wasalam entered as expected, they all started using foul language about him, about his father, and accusing him and his father, Amir al-Mu'minin Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salatu wasalam, with whatever they desired. And when they got quiet, Imam Hassan al-Mujtaba alayhi salatu wasalam started speaking. So there were many people, they took turn to attack Imam Hassan al-Mujtaba alayhi salatu wasalam. So Imam responded them one by one. When Imam alayhi salatu wasalam reached to Amr bin Uthman, the son of Uthman, the caliph, Imam said to him, Amma anti ya Amr, as long as you are concerned, O Amr bin Uthman, فلم تكن حقيقا لحمقك أن تتبع هذه الأمور. You are foolish enough to stay away from these affairs. The topics you have raised against my father or against me, you are foolish enough to stay away from them. فإنما مثلك مثل البعوضة. Your example is the example of a mosquito. إذ قالت للنخلة. When that mosquito said to the palm tree, استمسكي فإني أريد أن أنزل عنك. Hold on, I'm climbing down from you. فقالت لها النخلة. The palm tree said to that mosquito, ما شعرت بوقوعك فكيف يشق علي نزولك. I didn't realize when you climbed on me, then how would I feel any discomfort when you are climbing down from me? So this is your example. You are talking to me in this language, you are talking about Amir al-Mu'minin. Your example is like a mosquito. And our example is like a deeply rooted palm tree. شجرة طيبة أصلها ثابت وفرعها في السماء تؤتي أكلها كل حين. So this is our example. And your example is like a mosquito. You don't deserve to be responded. And it's just better for you to stay away. So if you pay attention closely, Imam Hassan al-Mujtaba alayhi salatu wasalam is narrating a conversation which happened between a mosquito and a palm tree. Was there any real conversation? No. This is just an example. So if you are citing something similar to that to bring something which is metaphysical, physical, and make it easily understandable for the person you are talking to, you are addressing to, that is absolutely right. There is no lying. Let's say aloud salawat for Imam Hassan al-Mujtaba. So this cannot be called a mustathna min al-kidh, because this is totally out of kidh. It is not considered even kidh. Then we come and exclude it. No, it's not included in kidh. It's totally outside of kidh. But I just explained, because there are a lot of misunderstandings on this respect. So when it comes to difficult situations, or we call it mustathnayatul kidh, One of them is taqiyya, you all know. So when you are, or someone else, from your brothers, from your sisters, mu'mineen, someone is in danger, their life could be in danger, or their wealth could be in danger. However, when it comes to wealth, it should be significant. The loss cannot be affordable in ordinary situation. For these two circumstances, you are allowed to lie. If your life is at risk, or your wealth, significant amount, which cannot be tolerated, is at risk, then you are allowed to lie. This is one of the mustathnayatul kadhib. And now, how will you deal with this situation? So there are two main methods. Number one, that is called at-tawriya. And number two, that is called at-taqiyya. At-tawriya, technically, you are not lying, but you are fooling the corrupt person, the one who is trying to harm you or another human being. You are just fooling that person. It appears that you are lying, but in fact you are not lying. That is called tawriya. How that works? So for example, just imagine an oppressor is following an innocent person, and the innocent person is escaping for his life, and an oppressor is following. An oppressor, the oppressor comes to you and says, have you seen that person escaping from this place? And you have seen that person. So if you say, no, I haven't seen it, it is lie. Can you say that? Don't say that. As long as there is another option. What is the other option? For example, you are standing here. You just go one step towards right, left, front or back. And then you say, since I'm here, I haven't seen that person escaping. Are you lying? Originally, you are not lying, because since you are here, you haven't seen him. Okay? But the person doesn't understand. He thinks you haven't seen him. So this is called tawriya. Since you are hiding something, however, not lying. Not lying, but hiding something. That is called tawriya. And there could be, in fact, many examples for tawriya. So this is one example of tawriya. Or instead of using jumla ismiya, you use jumla insha'iyya. There are two types of sentences. Jumla ismiya, jumla khabariya, sorry. Jumla khabariya or jumla insha'iyya. Jumla khabariya means you are passing information. And jumla insha'iyya, you are instructing someone. So for example, if you say, I haven't seen this person, it is called jumla khabariya, you are informing. But if you say, go and search him somewhere else, are you informing him? No, you are not informing him. You are instructing him. So this is called jumla insha'iyya. So you have both options. Either you move slightly and say, since I am here, I haven't seen that person. Or instead of responding in jumla insha'iyya, in jumla khabariya, you respond in jumla insha'iyya. Instead of saying, whether have you seen him or not, simply say, go and search him somewhere else. So if you say, go and search him somewhere else, go and search him in the masjid, go and search him, for example, in this place or in that place. The person is getting the message, you haven't seen him. The person hasn't been in this area. But you are diverting him into another direction. And that is also acceptable. That is not considered lying. Okay. Or for example, you said something about someone who deserved that. You spoke against someone who deserved that. It was, for example, a tyrant or a corrupt person. And just imagine your speech was not recorded. And now that person follows you and says, oh, I've heard that you've talked to me, you've talked about me in this way and that way. Again, there is a way you can avoid the difficult situation for yourself. What is that? You are greater than a person like me talk about you. Are you lying? No, you are not lying. That is also kind of avoiding the difficult situation and also avoiding lying. Tawriyah. When is it permissible? When is it not permissible? There could be, in fact, 3 situations in which you use tawriyah. You use tawriyah when there is maslahah or daf'ul mafsada. If there is, for example, a mu'min, you can save a moment's life, or you can save a moment's wealth, or yourself, your life or your wealth. So there is, in fact, a maslahah. Or you want to do tawriyah to avoid some evil consequences for yourself or for a mu'min. In these situations, it is definitely permissible. The second scenario, if tawriyah is harmful for a moment, there is in fact a mafsada, then definitely it will not be permissible. So in tawriyah there is a maslahah. There are some fruits, there are some benefits. Then that is permissible. In tawriyah there are some harms for yourself or for mu'min. Then definitely that is haram. Third situation, there is neither any goodness nor any evil. Neutral situation. In neutral situation, is tawriyah permissible or not? Here we have different opinions. Some scholars say it is permissible because it is not actually a lie. But some scholars say no, it is not permissible. So that is one option. Or that is one example which is exempted from lying. That is called tawriyah. And the second example is definitely taqiyah. Taqiyah is different from tawriyah. In tawriyah, you can twist and divert the understanding of the person in front of you. But in taqiyah, no, unfortunately. You don't have that twist and trick option. You'll have to lie. For example, someone comes and says, say, you don't believe in Allah, you don't believe in Prophet Muhammad, you don't believe in Ahlul Bayt alayhim, otherwise you will be killed. Now, alhamdulillah, we don't have these scenarios. But in past, these scenarios are very common. And even nowadays, if you are in Taliban zone, if you are in Daesh zone, then this could be something applicable. So if you are in those scenarios and you cannot do tawriyah, you'll have to lie. Are you allowed to lie? Yes, you are allowed. Not only allowed, in many cases, you are obliged. It is wajib upon you to lie, to save your life or someone else who is innocent, and you save their life. And Imam Ali alayhi salatu wasalam, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. This is one of the madlumi of Imam Ali alayhi salatu wasalam. It is reported that Imam Ali alayhi salatu wasalam said to his followers, if you are forced to curse me, because at that time cursing of Imam Ali alayhi salatu wasalam was a fashion. Not only a fashion, a benchmark of faith. If someone didn't curse Imam Ali salatu wasalam, that person was considered out of the faith. And they used to kill that person, or they used to destroy the house of that person, or inflict severe harm to that person. So Imam Ali ﷺ instructed his followers, if you are in these situations, I'm allowing you to curse me. Curse me and save your life. However, make sure that you don't go away from me. Don't do bara'ah, actual bara'ah. You're allowed to curse me, but don't go away from me. Because if you go away from me, you'll end up nowhere but in misguidance. علي مع الحق والحق مع علي وليس بعد الحق إلا ضلال. So if you go away from haqq, from Ali ibn Abi Talib, then you will end up nowhere but in dalal, in this world, and in hellfire in the hereafter. So don't go away from me, but you are allowed to curse me if you are in that situation. So that is called taqiyya. And taqiyya is absolutely permissible. It is mentioned in Quran, إِلَّا مَنْ أُكْرِهَ وَقَلْبُهُ مُطْمَئِنٌ بِالْإِيمَانِ. Ammar, Yasir, when his parents, Yasir and Sumayya, they were brutally tortured. And not only tortured, but killed by the pagans, by the mushrikeen, because of their faith, because of their belief. Ammar al-Yasir, who was a young man, he couldn't tolerate their situation. And he said what kuffar and mushrikeen wanted him to say. He used foul language about Allah Azza wa Jalla, about Prophet Muhammad. And then they released him. Let's have a salawat. Allah sallallahu ala Muhammad. So he came to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He was extremely embarrassed. Not only extremely embarrassed, but he was crying. And he said, Ya Rasulullah, I've uttered kalimatul kufr. Is there a way for me? And Allah Azza wa Jal revealed the verses in the noble Quran that illa man ukriha wa qalbuhu mutma'innun bil iman. If you are forced to utter the words of kufr while your heart is at rest, while your heart is pleased with iman, with Allah, with Ahlul Bayt alayhim salatu wasalam, that is absolutely fine. And Rasulullah asked him, you've done nothing wrong, and if you are forced, next time, do it without any hesitation. So that is called taqiyya. Taqiyya means protecting yourself. Comes from wiqaya, protection. So these are scenarios in which lying is permissible. Unfortunately, there are some other scenarios, or fortunately, but we don't have much time. One of them is islahu dhatil bayn, for making peace among people. Look at the level of Islam when it comes to make peace among people. Lying is one of the greatest sins in Islam. Even for your $1 million, if you are lying for $1 million, even that is not permissible. If that $1 million is not yours, if that is yours and someone is taking out of your pocket just because of corruption, just because of operation, then you are allowed to use taqiyya to save that money, which is yours. Or something which is not yours, you want to acquire something. Are you allowed to use tawriya taqiyya? No, it's haram. Okay? Even though the amount is $1 million. Yes, but if you are to make peace between two people who have fallen out with one another, who have grudges of one another, and making some lies will bring their hearts together, Islam allows that. Islahu dhatil bayn is one of the exemptions where lying is permitted. And there are many ahadith in this respect, but unfortunately we don't have time for them. So inshallah ta'ala, we'll talk about this topic in detail in next sermon. هذا وآخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى أهل بيته الأطيبين الأنجبين ولعنة الله على أعدائهم أجمعين. إن أحسن الحديث وأبلغ الموعظة كتاب الله عز وجل. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين حبيب الله العالمين سيدنا ومولانا أبي القاسم محمد وعلى أهل بيته الأطيبين الأنجبين ولعنة الله على أعدائهم أجمعين. أما بعد. أوصي نفسي وإياكم بتقوى الله. Once again I advise myself and all of you towards taqwa, God consciousness and remembrance of Almighty Allah Azza wa Jalla. As we discussed some exceptions of kidh, lying. Lying is considered even worse than drinking wines. The hadith says, أخبث الخبائث شرب الخمر. However, when it comes to lying, hadith says, وَالْكِذْبُ شَرٌ. And based on another hadith, جُعِلَتِ الْخَبَائِث فِي بَيْتٍ وَاحِدٍ وَجُعِلَ مِفْتَاحُهَا الْكَذِبُ. All the evils are put in one house, and the key to that house of evil, all the evils, is lying. And there are in fact 40 consequences of lying. لعنة الله على الكاذبين. In this world and the other. There are 40 consequences. However, when it comes to making peace, as I said, that is permissible. From here you can understand the beauty of Islam. How important it is to work as a peacemaker. Na'udhu billah, hammalatul hatab. There are a lot of people who instigate fightings among believers. And they've been extremely criticized in Quran. وَيْلٌ لِكُلِّ هُمَزَةٍ لُمَزَةٍ. And then also hammalatul hatab, the carriers of fuel. If two people are fighting, don't become carrier of fuel. Become the carrier of extinguisher, carrier of water. Try your best to reconcile. How important reconciliation is among mu'mineen, among families, among communities. Imam Ali alayhi salatu wasalam, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. He says Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam made wasiyah to me. Ya Ali, inna Allah ta'ala ahabba al-kidhba fi as-salah. Not only kidhb, sharrun min shurb al-khamr. Not only it is no longer hated, but Imam Ali says, Rasulullah said to me, inna Allah ta'ala أحب الكذب في الصلاة. If you are lying to reconcile between two people, then that lying is loved by Almighty Allah. وأبغض الصدق في الفساد. Religion is nothing but truthfulness. However, this truthfulness which can take two believers apart, which can create further rift between two believers, which can intensify their grudges, is the hated truth in the eyes of Allah Azza wa Jalla. This is in Wasail al-Shia. In another hadith, Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam says, ما عمل امرؤ عملا بعد إقامة الفرائض خيرا من إصلاح بين الناس. There is no good deed which pleases Allah Azza wa Jalla other than performing wajibat. After performing your wajibat, the most important good deed is reconciling between people, bringing them together, making peace between them. And the famous will of Imam Ali ﷺ, which is considered the last will of him, that he made to Imam Hassan, Imam Hussain, and to all his followers till the day of judgment. إني سمعت جدكما صلى الله عليه وآله يقول صلاح ذات البين أفضل من عامة الصلاة والصيام. Reconciliation is better than general prayers and fastings. So in fact, there are a lot of rewards for those who make peace. And even in that process, you have to lie. For example, however, there are in fact limits. You need to consider that. So for example, someone is talking to me. There are two people who have fallen with one another. Or there are grudges between them. And someone is talking to me from those two people, and the other one is seeing. Or someone arranged a meeting with me, and the other one knows. After the meeting, the person calls or meets with me. What that person was talking to you, what that person was telling you about me, and whatever that person said to me was nothing but evil about that person. If I repeat his words to the opponent, to the other person, what would happen? More fight, more grudges, more enmity. So shall I speak truth? No. Na'udhu billah. I'm not allowed to make lies. I'm not allowed to speak lies. I must say whatever that person has said. If you say that, it means you don't understand the nature of your religion. If you become the statue of truth, as we say in Urdu, Sach ka putla, and whatever that person has said, you just repeat to his enemy. That's not allowed. That is the most hated truth in the eyes of Allah Azza wa Jalla. Here you are absolutely allowed to speak lies. In the first attempt, you will try to do tawriya, as I explained. And if that doesn't work, and you have to lie, you are allowed to even lie. Oh no, that person was not talking about you in that way, and that person loves you, that person is your brother. So if I'm saying, for example, that person is your brother, I'm not lying, because that person is his brother, even though they have fallen out. Al-mu'minu akhul mu'min, al-muslimu akhul muslim. So there are different ways, different tricks. We need to know them so we can avoid lying as much as possible. But if that includes lying, then that lying is better than speaking truth, and that lying is loved by Almighty Allah. Oh no, that person loves you, that person cares for you. Probably there have been some misunderstandings between you, and that person has very good heart for you. Okay? By saying these words, I can at least calm that person down. And when that person calms down, then I can in fact encourage him to make peace with that mu'min. And inshallah ta'ala, there will be a peace between these two. If I try my best and I'm sincere in that effort, and I don't intend anything except Allah Azza wa Jalla's rida, except Allah Azza wa Jalla's forces. And sincerity really works in these situations. وآخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى أهل بيته الأطيبين الأنجبين. اللهم صل على محمد. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما اللهم صل على محمد. اللهم صل على سيدنا مولانا وشفيعنا أبي القاسم محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى يحسب الدين أمير المؤمنين علي بن أبي طالب. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى بضعة خاتم النبيين فاطمة الزهراء البتول. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى الحسن والحسين سيد شباب أهل الجنة. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى أئمة المسلمين علي بن الحسين زين العابدين ومحمد بن علي باقر علم النبيين وعلى جعفر بن محمد الصادق الأمين وموسى بن جعفر الكاظم وعلي بن موسى الرضا المرتضى ومحمد بن علي التقي الجواد وعلي بن محمد النقي الهادي والحسن بن علي الزكي العسكري. اللهم صل على مولانا صاحب الزمان. اللهم صل على مولانا ما حيا آثار البدع والطغيان هادم أبنية الشرك والنفاق حاسد فروع البغي والشقاق صلوات الله وسلامه عليه وعلى آبائه الكرام. اتصلت الليالي والأيام. اللهم عجل فرجه وسهل مخرجه واكحل ناظرنا بنظرة منا إليه وتفضل المؤمنات بمزيد التوفيقات وازدياد الإقبال وعلو الدرجات. اللهم افعل بنا ما أنت أهله ولا تفعل بنا ما نحن أهله بجاه محمد وآله المحسومين. إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون. والسلام عليكم ورحمة